One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 6, Episode 3 of AMC's Better Call Saul, entitled Rock and Hard Place. You know, like I mentioned before, it looks like the titles are going to be this blank and blank kind of style. I don't know what's to come of that, but let's not waste any time talking about this title. Let's talk about this episode, because this was an incredible send-off that you could tell was crafted to give Michael Mando the opportunity for all he's done for this show, all the great work he's done on this show, all the great work he's done just in these 3 episodes alone. This episode was crafted to give his character the send-off he deserves, and it was fucking incredible. Like, I loved every minute of it. I love that they gave him this one last chance to kind of just completely throw his everything into this role, and he did it, and he nailed it. It was incredible, and you know, it was shocking. I didn't think it was going to happen this early. I think we kind of knew it would, because he doesn't appear in Breaking Bad. But man, what an ending for Nacho. What a great ending for this character. And just shout out to Michael Mando for everything he's done on this show, man. I know that when we talk about this show, we talk about Bob Odenkirk, we talk about Rhea Seehorn, we talk about gosh, I know the name of the guy that plays Mike too, and it's Jonathan Banks. We talk about Jonathan Banks. We talk about Esposito, Giancarlo Esposito. We talk about all these guys, all these well-known actors and actresses, and I think Michael Mando always kind of got pushed under the seat a little bit. Like you know, Nacho's cool, yeah, but he was never really spoken in the same breath as those other actors, and I think it's a shame, because he's done such a great job in this role, and particularly this season and last season, really carrying this tension and this weight. Like, every time Nacho was in a scene, it was so intense, it was so heavy, the stakes were so high, and he did such a good job of doing this, mostly on his own too. Like, he doesn't have, you know, an opportunity to play off of other actors like a lot of other people have had in these more recent episodes of the show. He's had to do a lot of this on his own, particularly this season. Like, all of his stuff has been just him, and it's like, and emoting and sweating and looking nervous and being scared, like all of this solo work, and it's just an incredible performance. And I'm so glad they gave him the opportunity for his character to go out, for him to just have one great episode that's really like 80% of this is following Nacho, and I just appreciate that they did that for him. So this video shouldn't be too long. There's not a whole lot that necessarily even comes to light. It really is just a showcase for Michael Mando to do his thing. We have a B plot that involves Kim and Jimmy a little bit, which I'll cover at the end, but there's not really going to be too much to discuss, because there's actually not a lot that happens. There's just a whole lot of what this show is known for. Long scenes that you don't really realize what the point of the scene is until you get toward the end of it. And then then that scene wraps, and you're just kind of like, okay, I think I see what's happening here. So once you kind of get used to how this show operates as well, you kind of get an idea of where you're going. So like the opening scene, for instance, this is like this shot that like tracks across the dirt, and you see like these, you know, dried up branches. Everything looks very dry, and it stops on a flower with blue petals. And it lingers on the flower for a minute, and then it starts to rain. And the rain comes down, and we see it hitting a piece of glass that looks like it's been sitting there for a while. And it makes me, you know, I'm watching this, I'm like, what's the point of this shot? And I'm like, I'm realizing as it's ending and we go to credits that that's probably a shot that I'm not supposed to know anything about, and it'll make sense by the end of the episode, which it does. So now I'm not going to like sit here and just like hold you guys' hand and look like, here's what happened, and we're just going to walk through the whole episode. I want to talk about the high points. I mean, there are no low points, but you know, the big moments that Nacho's character gets. And I think the first is when he hides in that empty oil tanker, or mostly empty oil tanker. Because when he gets in there, I'm thinking this is a terrible idea, because you're not going to be able to get out. If they arrive here, they're going to look into this giant field, see this oil tanker, and assume you're in there. So this is just not a good idea. But he gets in there, and he's coughing. I would imagine the smell in there is probably something pretty crazy. And there's a rusted out spot that he can look through, and he sees the cousins arrive looking through there. And again, already the tension's building up. And then the one looks at the tanker and you're like, oh shit, how's he gonna do this? And the fucking oil scene, man, the way like everything was so meticulously thought out. And that's what I love about this show. Like, cause you have to think like, okay, we can't have him just go get in the oil and lay down because the oil's still gonna be moving by the time the cousin gets there. So we see him like slowly stepping like just into the oil to create as little movement as possible as he goes to lay down in it. So that way, when I don't know, I don't even know that, do the cousins even have names? I mean, I know they have names, but I don't. Does anyone know them like offhand? But you know, thing 1 and thing 2 arrive at the tanker. And thing 1 looks in there, and you could tell there's an emphasis on looking to see if the oil is moving, which was so, like I said, was so smart that he just knelt into it very, very, very slowly and held his nose to prevent the bubbles. It was a great intense scene. You're looking like, okay, is the oil gonna move? Is a bubble gonna come up? And nothing happens, and he leaves. And I think that was the first great moment that they gave Michael Mando an option to do in this episode. And again, I'm like, the more I just finished watching it, and the more I think about this episode, the more I'm just like, they were just like, okay, we know what's gonna happen to your character at the end of this episode. Let's give you as many opportunities to show your ass as we can give you, so that you can really go out on the highest possible note. And the next moment of that is when he goes to this car repair place. This mechanic is there, and he's washing all the oil off of himself, and he has to use the phone. And already I'm thinking like, okay, wait, this is where we're gonna get the other side of the phone call from last week, because we only heard Mike going, yeah, all right, not my call. Like we only heard the Mike stuff. But I'm thinking like, okay, now this is the call where he's gonna call Mike, and we're gonna hear the Nacho side of the conversation with Mike and Gus, which we do, but that wasn't it though. Which again, this is the show's brilliance, because even as smart as it is, I'm so used to it that I think I'm on to him. Okay, now I see what's happening here. But no, that wasn't the call to Mike. It was a call to his dad just to make sure his dad was still alive. And I love what Michael Mando did in this scene. He starts to call the father, and he pauses, I think, before he pushes the last number, because he's like, okay, you know, what if I call and I find out he's dead? What if I call and nobody picks up? Like, he's scared of what's going to happen. Like, he's going to get this good news. And you know that because once his dad picks up, you could see the relief in his face. Like, it's all, man, Michael Mando fucking crushes this episode. And then he's like, you know, trying to hold back his emotions while just hearing his dad be his dad. Still kind of coming down on him, but like, just hearing that not only is he okay, but he's not even like under duress. Like, it's not like a situation where like he's under gunpoint or something like that. He can tell his dad is normal, and because he's talking shit about what he needs to be doing. So he knows his dad is normal, and you can see him like the way he like holds that emotion in. You see the tears welling up, him trying to keep his composure. Oh man, really great stuff from him. And then after he gets off of the phone, just him lingering there and being pleased, like that was great stuff. And then the next big scene is the one I talked about, where we hear Nacho's side of that phone call. He essentially says, you know, I'll do whatever you want to do. Well, first he lays out how screwed Gus is. But then he says, you know, I'll do whatever it is that you want to do to help get you out of this if you promise that my dad is going to be okay. And he says, you know, if you do what I want to do, there's no reason for your dad to be hurt. And Mike confirms, like, you know, you do whatever needs to be done. Anybody who comes to your dad is going to have to go through me. Which, given the events of this episode, somebody might come after his dad. So I wonder if that's going to be like Mike's, I don't want to say mission, but like part of what Mike is going to have to do through the rest of the season. Because, I mean, we're only 3 episodes in, and this is a 13 episode season. There's a lot of this season left, and a lot has happened already. But I wonder if protecting his dad's going to be a thing, because given that last scene, you could see the Salamancas maybe trying to come after Nacho's dad, but it's also like, to what end? Like, it's not like he's going to find out that you did that to his dad, but we'll see what happens with that. But we hear the other end of that call. Nacho agrees. Mike agrees to do nothing to his dad. And as in typical Better Call Saul fashion, we know there's a plan, but we don't really know what it is yet. And again, they love to give us clues that there's no way the clue will give us any insight into what happens. But then after the events take place, the clue then makes sense, like the glass in the opening scene. And then we see Michael Mando drinking, you know, Nacho drinking his water, or maybe it's vodka or tequila, I don't know, drinking his clear liquid. And he sets the glass down and he looks into it. And I remember thinking, is this just another scene where they want to show us a cool shot? Because, like, obviously you can't shoot from the bottom of a glass. I mean, you can, but you know what I mean? Like, that shot doesn't work the way it's framed if you actually had a camera there. Like, they'd have to do it a different way. So I'm like, is this one of those fancy, you know, camera from inside the trunk or camera from above the, you know, the top of the truck looking down at Nacho? Is this just a fancy camera trick? Or does he see something in this glass? Because then his face kind of hovers over it. So I'm thinking like, okay, maybe he sees something in the glass. So then we see we start to see the final scene play out. We know that Nacho has agreed to, well, first they beat him up to make sure it looked real, but that he's agreed to throw someone else under the bus, Alvarez, and to take the sight off of Gus. And they get to there. Well, he's zip tied. The plan is for him to do that, take off running, and then they're gonna kill him, and that'll be that. And Gus will appear to be absolved. And you know, Mike says he wants to be there just for insurance purposes. But when Nacho is getting zip tied in the back of this truck, we see that he has a piece of glass in his hand. And then I think we are left to assume that Mike put that glass in his glass for him to see it, so he would be able to cut those zip ties open and do his thing. And they had this whole plan worked out because they nod at each other when Mike gets out of the car prematurely. And then they arrive at with the Salamancas and Bosa, and everything is going to plan. And then it's not just like Nacho's last stand, it's Michael Mando's last stand. Like, I was worried, like, I didn't think he was gonna die. So like, I'm thinking like, okay, how's he gonna get out of this one? But in that scene, in that moment, when everything kind of comes coming out, when not only does he completely absolve Gus from it by basically making Gus sound like a pussy, like there's no way Gus could do this. Then he goes, oh yeah, you know what else? It was me you're the reason I'm in that, I'm the reason you're in that chair. I'm the one who fucked with your pills. Like, the screaming at him, like anytime, you know, I want you to think of me. Like, oh man, all that stuff was incredible and completely shocking. Like, I had no clue that not only was this going to be the end of Nacho's story, but that he was going to tell everything. And man, what a great fucking final scene. He used the glass to cut his zip tie, stabs Bosa in the leg with it, grabs Bosa's gun, puts it to Bosa's head, and I think the plan was, because we hear Mike say to do it, the plan was to off Nacho, I mean, not off Bosa, and then presumably Mike, from his advantage in height, not height, but how high up he is on everybody with his sniper rifle, will be able to take everyone else out. Because I remember thinking, like, if Nacho escapes this, how do Mike and Gus form a relationship that persists through Breaking Bad? But with Nacho deciding to take his own life, Mike doesn't have to do any of that, and now Mike doesn't have to worry about any issues with Nacho. I mean, with Gus. But I think the plan was going to be that Mike was going to take out everybody there after Nacho shoots Bosa. Like, both the cousins, Hector, Gus, Crazy 8, Tyrus, everybody was going to go down in that moment. And like I said, I was wondering, how is this going to work out with Mike and Gus going forward? But now that it never happened, nothing has to happen. But man, what an incredible ending. What an incredible ending for Michael Mando. I really hope he gets an Emmy nomination just for these 3 episodes. Incredible work. And just, I know he'll never see this, but like, man, my hat is off to you, dude. Like, what an incredible fucking performance on this show. Amazing. And then I wrap up with talking about the B plot real quick. Not much happens. We don't see a lot of Kim and Jimmy this episode because, like I said, this was Michael Mando's closing curtain. But we do see them start to unleash a plan against Howard that involves his car, taking his car. They have Huel pull off a scam where he snatches Howard's keys from the valet, has them copied, gets them thrown back under the car real quick as if nothing happened. Then he gives the copy to Saul. So Jimmy and we don't know what this plan is yet, but they have some plan that involves Howard's car and a whole lot of sticky notes on a board. I didn't pause to look at those sticky notes. Maybe I will at some point, but I kind of don't really want to. I want to just see what happens with the plan. I could pause it and maybe try to piece something together with the sticky notes, but I'm not going to do that. And then also, Kim and Jimmy now think Lalo is dead. I think this woman, I think her name was Erickson, told Kim that Lalo was dead, but she also told Kim that they know that Jimmy has worked with multiple people, multiple Salamancas or people affiliated with the Salamancas, and she thinks that maybe he didn't realize that, and that since he didn't realize that, his lawyer confidentiality agreement is null and void, and he could essentially snitch on the Salamanca cartel without breaking that agreement. And she presents that to Jimmy, like, hey, this is what I was told. They know about you working with Lalo, but he's dead, which we know is not true. But he's dead. They want you to basically snitch on him. They got nothing on you. And he says, do you think I should do it? She says, well, that's up to you. Do you want to continue to be in good favor with the cartel, or do you want to be a rat? And when you frame it like that, that's your way of saying, I don't think you should do it. Like, because you presented the other option as a negative by saying, or do you want to be a rat? So interesting that Kim essentially is saying, hey, don't do this. Continue to be in good with the cartel. So interesting decision by Kim. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this one up. Another incredible episode of Better Call Saul. I think we're going to get 13 fucking great episodes of this show, and I can't wait over the next few weeks and months to check those out. And I will see you guys next Monday for episode 4. Peace.